I would like to introduce Ken Jacobs, who is the founder and CEO of Jacobs Consulting and Executive Coaching. And Ken, prior to his business that he launched, was in the agency, PR agency world as a leader for about 20 years. And I'm going to keep it brief, and we are going to have Ken join us.
Hello.
Hello. Hi, Ken.
Greetings from one of the villagers.
Yes. Thank you, villager. Great to see you got the memo about the blue shirt.
No, you sent me the message through the universe.
Oh, that's good.
We're connected that way.
We're so connected. Well, Ken, in the spirit of the book, which is a Q&A, of course, we're going to ask you a couple questions. So, Richard, maybe you can kick us off.
Okay. Well, Ken, a pleasure to meet you. Thank you for joining us. And Ken, you work with a lot of agency leaders. So if you believe that your organization has acted unethically, what question, or maybe a couple of questions, should you immediately ask to help you navigate what could be a really challenging and difficult situation?
Yeah. Well, as a coach, I'm a big believer in the power of perception. So the first thing we do is look at and say, was there an ethics violation? Is this just my perception of the situation? What's another possible perception? What's another? Let's be really sure before we believe our organization has acted unethically. The next thing to look at is, did they violate the company's ethics policy or my own? Many of us hold family and friends and clients and our companies to a contract that they've never signed. So, you've got to look at, is it our ethics that have been violated, or is it simply mine? Now, if it doesn't appear they violated the company ethics, but they violated our own, that's a very good time to do an inventory and do an assessment and say, is there a gap between the ethical values of where I'm currently working and my own deeply felt ethical values? And I think, during last year was kind of a strange year, like one none of us had experienced. I think people stayed in positions when there might have been a gap in ethics because just for the security of having a job, unfortunately. But I think now is a very good time to look at your own values and your companies and make sure they're in alignment. They don't all have to be in alignment, but the ones around, the important ones and ethics, that's something we need to look at. And I'm so glad in the book, the word ethics comes before marketing. Ethics is everything. Ethics is our reputation. You can grow your business. You can be of service. What matters is, have you lived ethically? The last thing is, if you do think there's been an ethical violation, you need to understand, what are the rules with HR? What are the rules for reporting it? Am I guaranteed confidentiality? What is the policy and how will it be handled? I think you have to open your eyes and know that before you ring the bell.
Absolutely. Really helpful questions. And one thing, perception is so difficult, and gauging different perceptions. So Ken, and I have another question for you, but this just begs a question. Would you ask other people around you to possibly share what they thought, so that you're not making a choice alone on the perception?
My instinct is to be a little careful around that, because you never know who works for whom, who reports to whom, who keep a confidence. Confidence is so important. I think early on in your career, one should have a board of advisors, a mentor or two, a coach, of course, whatever the case may be. And I would discuss it first with your own inner circle before deciding what action to take at your organization.
Yeah, Richard, I see you nodding. So you're in a lot of corporate spaces. You can agree with this.
Absolutely. I mean, I think Ken's focus on the importance of making sure that your principles and values are aligned with your organizational values. And if there's some space, as he well shares, it might be time for some introspective thinking. I think that's great counsel. And as he also shares, the flip side is that when everything is aligned, I mean, it's just wonderful. You're so much more engaged, motivated, passionate. We just love our work like we do now. So I think that, when he also shares that not all ethical decisions are easy. I mean, that was such an important takeaway for me. And I would add to that, some can be pretty tricky, which goes back to a theme in your book, Deirdre, which is the importance, and Ken talked about it, of having mentors, having that sort of private board of directors that you can go to.
Yes, that is critically important. And Ken, another part of your contribution talked about the North Star, having your own North Star. Maybe share a little bit, break it down. How do you find the North Star?
Yeah, I think it's knowing what you stand for, knowing what's really important to you, and being very loyal to that and very true to that. And my favorite story or anecdote or scene about that is at the very end of The Devil Wears Prada, which of course everyone knows is based on a real story. And Miranda, played by the wonderful Meryl Streep, says to Andy, "Oh, I see a lot of myself in you, the way you handled a certain situation." And it was that, Andy took a gig in Paris that Emily Blunt, the actress, really wanted. And Meryl Streep had her do an unethical move. Meryl Streep wouldn't tell her not to go. It was her position. And ultimately, she was talking about how Meryl Streep had done something to a certain character, and Andy said, "Oh, I could never do that." And she said, "But you did it. You did it to Emily Blunt." And Andy gets very mad, and Andy leaves the limo, and Andy throws her mobile phone in this beautiful fountain in Paris. And I always, and it's because she's realized, and Miranda has helped her realize, she's lost her ethical North Star. She's no longer being true to those very critical values. So she's, I think some people see this scene and think she's angry at Miranda. She's not.
No.
She's angry at herself for having lost her way. And we have to find our way back to our own ethical values, as Richard clearly did in his life. And what an inspiring story that is for all of us, truly.
Thank you.
Absolutely. The ethical North Star, I think I talk about this a little bit in the book. I call it your ethics GPS.
Mm-hmm.
And this GPS, it's always there. It's just sometimes we don't recognize it being there because we get caught up in whatever's going on in our world. It could be the fast pace of business. It could be social media, technology, binging and pinging at us. And you can lose this. It doesn't necessarily go away, but you're not tuned into it.
Yeah, so, if you're rationalizing, that's what that is all about. And I think to the point raised earlier, it is tough to live an ethical life in business and to be true to your own moral code and ethical code. But it is so important to do so and know what your values are. Again, they don't have to fully align with the organizations, but on the big stuff, on the deep stuff, how we conduct our business, on how we treat people and clients and our communities that we serve. You've got to have alignment there. And if it's not, it's time to maybe consider another organization. Because I think, as Richard said, when you're in alignment and when that is there, it's so much more fulfilling. It's so much more engaging. You love your work. And that ultimately is, I think, what we all want, regardless of whether we're in high finance, branding, marketing, coaching, whatever the case may be.
Right. Jerry Corbett made a comment on my LinkedIn today, and his quote sort of spoke to what you said. When you're in alignment with ethics, life is satisfaction, it's success, and everything good that goes along with it. So all really great points. And I just want to give shout outs to friends who are watching. So Russ Hedge, thank you for being here. Shanali, Wendy, Faye, hello, Jonna. Oh my goodness. And Winnie's there, and Winnie's going to come on and chat a little later. And Robin's there too. Thank you all. And whoever else is there, we really appreciate it. So Ken, Thank you very much for sharing. Anything you want to say before we pop you back in the green room?
With me, it's always about a laugh, and I'm just going to share with everyone that I think Shonali only tuned in to see if I do some chair dancing, and I'm not going to, because this is too serious a topic. But Shonali, I know that's what you're thinking. No, I just want to thank you both. It's such an important dialogue to have, and I'm really honored that you asked me to participate, and we'll see you all again at 8 o'clock.
See you again soon. Thank you very much.